Hey everyone, hope you are well. It's me, it's Dahna-Esther. So yes, I'm all done up. I literally just did a worship event at my place of fellowship. We had a worship night, and then I thought, I don't want to waste this makeup. I don't even want to waste this outfit. So let me just come on here and just kill two birds with one stone and just come before you. So, yeah, I just wanted to just come on here and, I'm trying to get back, not say trying to, I mean, I never necessarily left. I just was like off, social media for a while. I'm just trying to think, how long do I have to keep saying that? Because it's been a while now since I've been doing videos. But so tonight, I just wanted to really come on here and, talk about the importance of your voice. So coming back on social media, it's been a, I would say it's been a rocky one. It's taken me a couple of months to come back, to phase myself back into coming back on YouTube and coming back on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm just like, Lord, I just don't know. And the Holy Spirit kept saying, Dana, I've released you out of the caves, because there was a season for those. I'll keep repeating it until the Lord tells me to stop. But 2020 during the pandemic, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm just gonna yield under your mighty hand and just serve in whatever capacity you want me to. But I remembered, I think it was around, I would say around, I'd almost think around July, August. I don't want to get the dates wrong, but I know it was like in the mid, towards the middle of 2020, when I just started to really feel a shift in my spirit. It was around May time, and the Lord, I just felt like even, invitations were coming. I remember on the actual day there was a radio show, and I know it's probably like I'll never bring her back, but I was literally getting ready to go on this radio show. The Lord's like, I have to silence you for a season. And I was like, okay, God, if that's what you're going to do, then not my will, but your will be done. But I just remembered feeling the weight of the glory of God on me. And I just knew that it was time to be silent. In fact, let's go back about, 2 years prior. It was 2018. And I remembered going to a conference that was hosted by, I believe it's Kadosh Movement, and Apostle Matthew Stevenson III came to London, and he preached. I believe he preached on the Friday night of that event, and the title of the message was "The Silent Years," and I remembered when he preached that message, it was like a defining moment. So I actually had a defining moment today, but I digress. So that message was a defining moment. Now, in my book, Transition, How to Get From Here to a Place Called There, I speak about defining moments, and these are moments or events that take place in your life that literally it literally changed the whole trajectory of who you are. Based on the decision you make will determine, whether you go up or down. And that's what that message did for me. Like when I heard Apostle, he was talking about the journey of Jesus, and how we saw glimpses of him, at 12, and then from 12 till about 30, between the ages of 12 and 30, we don't hear anything about him. And I remembered how Apostle just started to really break down that word and talking about the importance of being in silence. And that's a time of where God prepares you, and he prepares you. Like Jesus was being literally prepared for his ministry, but the end result was to die. And I was just like, God. And I remember there was just so much more. There was so much more that he preached that night. But I remember the end of that service, the scenario was literally, God just said to me, I want you to leave this sanctuary. I want you to leave this conference silent. And I remember there was people I hadn't seen for years, like we're talking like 2 years. There's people I hadn't seen for a while. And I had to be doing sign language to them because I wasn't allowed to say anything. And I know the people that I was with, that came with me and I was traveling back with, they were laughing at me. They were trying their best to make me crack up. And I was like, no, because when you hear God speak to you directly, like you need to be quiet. And I remembered he said, you're not allowed to say anything until, I can't remember if it was, I wasn't allowed to say anything till I got home or till the next day. But I was obedient, not knowing that God was preparing me for over a year or so of silence. And so I remembered like going back to 2020, it was first the radio show, and then people started to say, I want you to come and speak. And God was telling me to tell everyone no. That was really hard. And I was like, God, did I do something wrong? what did I do? Why am I being silenced? Like, I know I ain't gone out there and messed about with nobody. Like, I just almost felt like I was being backbenched. And I was looking at everybody else and saying, but God, that person's allowed to say and do that, and they are still doing. And the Lord was like, don't mind them. I need you to just go quiet, because it's not about now. What I want you to do, I need you to receive a refreshing for where I'm taking you next. And so it was January 2021. That's when, I was still on social media and I would say little things that he would tell me to say. But it was around January 2021 when I heard the Lord say, I want you to shut everything down. And I was like, God, he was like, I want you to shut down your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. I want you to just shut everything down. No preaching, no nothing, be quiet. And the blessing is that God actually ushered me away from a ministry that I was a part of for some time. And he allowed me to be, to serve my mentor's vision. And that's been an honor, because I've definitely been challenged and pushed and stretched. And even when I don't want to, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. They're like, no, it's time to come up to another level. And I don't take that platform for granted. And it was that whole year of 2021 when the Lord was like, serve on this platform, but you're not allowed to go out on social media. And so people probably thought, oh, she's given up, she quit. No, I didn't. I was still preaching and teaching and singing and prophesying, whatever, but just in a, not say controlled, it's not controlled environment, but in a closed environment. So off of social media. And I think, so this year, January 2022, the Lord was like, I'm releasing you. But when you've almost become accustomed to a certain season, I became so used to my season of being quiet. I actually quite enjoyed it, because I experienced a lot of breakthroughs and miracle signs and wonders. I'm thinking maybe if I was still on social media loud and, and out and about doing whatever, I probably would have missed some of these things. But God was really just, blowing my mind and just moving in my life. And I started to get comfortable in that season. And so back in January of this year, when the Lord was like, I want you to go back out, I was like, God, I don't know if I want to go back out there, because I just loved just it being between me and God. And he was like, no, but it's taken me a couple of months to kind of get used to the new settings of social media, and also getting used to this new voice that he has given me. And so this whole week, God's been just speaking to me about the importance of my voice, because sometimes you can take it for granted. And I think when you've been around people, that's almost, just spent so long almost trying to minimize what you carry or minimize what it is that you're saying, that you almost start to believe the lies that they are saying to you. And so, if I'm honest, I found myself in that same predicament where the doubts were louder than the belief of God in my mind. Like, God was like, I'm pushing you now, I'm saying speak. And I almost became muzzled. And I started to think about, over the last couple of years, from a young child till now, and I'm not going to go into the events of, my life and certain things that happened, but there were certain circumstances and certain encounters that I had that for years, I just always tried to find an explanation as to why they happened. And whilst I'm in a state of forgiveness, I've forgiven everyone, forgiven perpetrators, those who did what they did, I've forgiven them. But it always got to the back of my mind, and I was like, this is just this one thing that kept happening. A couple times it's happened to me, and I was just like, God, why did that scenario keep happening to me? Like, is it something that I've done? And I thank God deliverance has happened where, I'm not blaming, things happen, no matter how powerful you are, or how, much you believe in God, or how much God protects you. Here's the thing, is that you can't control what other people do. The only thing you can control is your response. And there were things that I encountered from such a young age that I didn't even have the capacity or the understanding to articulate. So, I went through years of being silent about a lot of things, and it's just only this week. That's why I'm doing this video now, because God's just started to kind of make some things clear to me. And he started to explain to me the importance of my voice. And he started to show me that all those things that I encountered, even the shame, things that the enemy tried to throw at me throughout every season of my life, I realized that the purpose of the enemy was to silence me. The purpose of the enemy was to muzzle me. And when I look at it, like even in the area, the area of my voice, like you see a microphone here, I was just, worshiping, like I was given a slot, again, local ministry that the Lord has placed me to serve right in this time and season. And, pastor, he's been very much, I want you to sing. And I remembered when I think I'm so grateful to both him and his wife, in this season of my life, because they've pushed me to do things that I just kind of gave up on. And many people look at me, they're like, I didn't know you had a voice like that. I didn't know you could sing like that. And the truth is that for years, even though I was in the choir, multiple ministries that I served at, I was in the choir, but I was always in the background. I was never necessarily, I never really led anything in the major services. I would lead, worship on a Wednesday or, Bible study, whatever. And I was grateful for that. But in terms of the magnitude of how I believe God would have wanted to use me, I never really stepped into that because there was always that doubt. And so going back to what I was just saying about God began to deal with me about my voice and how there was such a close link between the circumstances that I was going through and my actual voice. Was that he was showing me how the enemy always wanted to silence me. He would send people to put doubt, to sow seeds of doubt, to make me doubt that I couldn't sing good enough, or I couldn't preach good enough, or I couldn't speak out. And just even my very presence, I almost was always, not always, because I'm not trying to talk like a victim, or say, oh, I was always victimized, because that's not the case. But I started this week, the Lord really started to convict me, and it started to deal with me about the importance of showing up. And I remembered in the beginning of this year, I was like, God, do I really need to go back out there? There's so many people doing their things. And I started to name a few. And, the Lord reminded me this week, he said to me, Dahna-Esther, there are people that are tied to you. There are people that will only rise up at your voice. And that blew my mind. And if I'm honest, the last couple of weeks, I've been encountering that same experience where I will hear different people speak, but there are a couple of people right now that God has had me listening to. Like, I'm not religious. It's about relationship. But when I say religiously, I mean like literally every single day. He'll be like, I want you to put that person on. And, there are a couple. There's only, I'll just say, well, apart from my leaders in this present time that's speaking in my ear, that's watching over my soul, there's only a handful of people that the Lord is saying, go and listen to. And every time they speak, my baby leaps. And the Lord was like, the same way how your purpose leaps when you hear them speak, that's how there are people that are tied to your destiny, your purpose. Your voice literally has been assigned to wake them up and to resurrect them and to put them on the right path. And so the point of me coming on here and the point of me doing this video, I just want to encourage someone that your voice matters. And it doesn't matter if there's 10, 15, 20, 30 people that's out there doing the same thing as you. What matters is your voice. I just find that there is a sound. We all have a unique sound. And I'm sure some of you may have heard this before. Some of you may have never heard this before. I've been in different environments and I've heard people say it, that your sound, you carry a unique sound. And then there are specific people that are awaiting. I remember, I believe it's Prophetess Kelly Turner. She always used to say this back in 2015 to 2017. She'd be like, someone is awaiting your arrival. And it just finally made sense to me this week. And, I think I had another encounter about a week and a half ago where somebody else, they rang me from another country and they were just speaking to me about a potential, opportunity. And I was saying, discerning, it wasn't time for me to just, take that up just yet. And to my surprise, she said, can I pray for you? And I was like, well, I would never reject a prayer. And no word of a lie, as she started to pray for me, she literally said, she just started to pray. And as she prayed, I felt the heavens open. And if I'm honest, I have not been the same. For the last 2 weeks, since she prayed for me, I've had people call me and pray for me. But that woman, when she prayed for me, something broke. Something broke over me. And I have to say that God has just been so good to me and helping me to understand the importance of my voice. There's certain people that he would lead me to and say, I want you to go and listen to that person. And I know I've said that already in terms of preachers, but he's really showing me like, Dahna-Esther, your voice matters. And so it's almost like I'm making a declaration coming on, doing this video to put out there to say, you know what, I'm back. And, I just ask those who follow me and those who, who feel like your purpose leaps at my voice. be patient with me, but just know that I am praying for you. Like, there are times when I can't sleep, and there are times when, I'm just led to just, just start to speak in tongues. And I know that it's because I'm interceding for some of you out there. And, sometimes I think, God, but I just don't want to always sound so deep. Or, when I come on here, all I talk about is purpose and destiny and, overcoming barriers. Like, not everybody surely is unhappy right now, but the Lord's just teaching me that, listen, don't take it lightly what you have come out of. Like, listen, I have been through some things. I have encountered some things. I have encountered beasts. I've encountered angels. I've encountered demons. I've encountered non-humans. I'm just going to say it like it is right now. I hope that YouTube does not censor my video, but I recognize that God brought me through, and he brought me out of those circumstances, not so that I could just come up on here and look cute. There is a reason, and God had to remind me, says, be sensitive to the fact that there are people that are still in what I've pulled you out of. So I didn't pull you out of it for you to be cute. I didn't pull you out of it so you can hide and just live your best life and not care about those who are stuck. So I'm coming on here and I'm saying right now in this video that I'm here for those who are broken, those who literally have lived in limitations all their lives. They've grown up, limited. They've grown up in a limited environment where they, no one's ever done anything, anything that has been life changing. Like, they've never broken history. They've never broken through any barriers. And you're sitting there thinking, is this all that life has for me? And I'm here to encourage you that no, this is not all life has for you, that there is so much more. That, again, my pastor, he likes to say all the time that your greatest days are ahead of you. And I love that. It's that everything that I'm encountering right now in this season, that there's actually more. And that's what keeps me going, is the fact that, yes, there is great things here now and in this season, but there is so much more that God has for me. And so that, because I know that in the back of my mind, and because I know that in my spirit, I also know that, that because I know that God has more for me, I know that I can't get comfortable here. And so I just want to empower someone to listen, embrace your voice. And you have to really look, the signs and the signals are there, like, based on what you're going through. The biggest thing that you're struggling with right now is actually the core of your purpose. And I used to always, you'd be so scared of how I sound. I didn't like the way I sounded. I used to be scared to listen back to, to when I sing, to when I speak. I used to be so like shy, and and I realized that it's because I was still dealing with with almost like a low self-esteem. I didn't see the fullness of who I am and who I was at that time. But now it's like the place that I'm in, to God be the glory, like I'm starting to see who I am in God, and even to the point where criticisms don't faze me anymore. I suppose it comes as this kind of attitude or this kind of mindset, it comes with your age, it comes as you grow older. But it's that whole thought, that whole perspective of, listen, I've got work to do. And it also reminded me, like, yesterday I had an experience as I was doing my day-to-day shopping. I say day-to-day, I don't go shopping every day, but I like to do like my essential shopping. And I like to shop, like, in bulk, so that I don't have to keep going out because I'm a busy woman. And so yesterday, as I was going around doing my shopping, I noticed the commotion outside, and I was just like, my heart always, skips a beat when I hear, especially young people. I'm just like, God, no stabbing, not tonight. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. When everyone was just minding their business. But I was, I was like David, when David showed up, to the war with Goliath, and he was like, is there not a cause? That's how I was like, what's going on? Like, why is everyone just standing and watching? And it really disturbed me because there was just so many girls like fighting each other. There was like, I can't even count. I lost count. I think there must have been at least 12. I don't want to exaggerate, but maybe between, I would say, 10, 15 girls just fighting on one or two girls. And I was just like, God, what am I seeing? And, I know it's not smart, it's not wise. And God is dealing with me about my, my Messiah syndrome. I want to just run into something and start breaking up because I know the dangers. Our young people walk around with knives and all of that. But it really worried me. And I was just like, God, don't let nobody get hurt. And we thank God the police showed up right on time. And what disturbed me, there was young guys also just standing, watching and hyping it. And I was like, God, what has our youth come to? And I was so disturbed. I even came home and I was like, God, why am I seeing all of this? And the Lord was like, I had to let you see that because I wanted you to see the urgency. I wanted you to see something that's hurting my heart. And it made me realize the importance again, like even just me being there, that was my voice as I was speaking, as I was even pleading the blood that nobody got hurt. You understand me? That was me activating my voice. And I started to think back on even when I was in school, and when I was at school and the young, my other classmates, they would come to me with their burdens and they would start to talk to me. They'd be like, can you pray for me? I remember one of my classmates, she called me at 2 a.m. in the morning. Her dad had a heart attack and she's like, then I didn't know who else to call. I just felt like you would know what to do. And I prayed and, they thought he was going to die, but a couple of days later, he made it out. And God was just showing me throughout the years how important my voice has been. And so, I'm just coming on here just to share with you just the moments I've had this whole week. Like even people messaging me, they saw my videos on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and people like, even podcasts. Like I've not even done a podcast in such a long time. I know you see the mic. I think it's a sign I need to get back on, doing my podcast. And a lady reached out to me. She's like, Dana, your podcast are carrying me through. And I just felt like, I'm not just trying to say I'm just sitting around waiting for people to just hype me so I can do stuff. Because I don't do things for man to hype me. But it's just a reminder of just how much my voice is necessary. And as I'm saying that, as I'm coming back into this realization of how important my voice is to help somebody come through what they're going through, I want to empower you that are listening to the sound of my voice, that will watch this recorded video on YouTube, that listen, there are people that are waiting for you to show up and to come at the right time. Now, there is a time and place. There is a time when God will say, you know what, shut the doors. Because don't you know that God's greatest pour is when you shut the doors? It's in your time of silence. It's when you shut out everything and you just allow time between you and him. And so I have spent the last 2 years in almost like a shut-in where he's just been pouring into me. And now he's released me back out, 2 years later, to empower you and to share with you the importance of trusting God and how obedience, like I'm where I am because of obedience. I am where I am because of an instruction. People look at me and think, oh my God, how comes you've got that? How comes you've got that? How did you get here? How did you get that? And I'm like, because I just listened to God. And sometimes it was the weirdest, most peculiar instructions. He would say, go that corner, do that, talk to that person, be open to receive from that person. And it would just catapult me into a completely different place. He would say, go into that appointment and sit down there and wait for that person to come and talk to you. And when I would meet with them, I think I'm talking about one thing, and then they will just start to download strategies as to what it is I need to do in order to access the next level that God has for me. Them probably not even saved, but they are giving me instructions as to what God has already spoken to me about weeks or months or days ago. So I'm not going to stay on here long, but I just want to encourage you. If there's anything you took out of this video, I know I kind of went all around and came, but the core message of this video is it's just so important to understand the importance of your voice. Know that there might be 10, 20 people doing the same thing as what you want to do. But understand that it's not about what you're doing. It's about the voice. It's the authority that you carry. Everyone has a gift. Everyone has a particular sound. And so with that gift and with that sound, you are literally called to specific people. And you find that other people that are doing the same thing as you might minister to those who you're called to and nothing will happen. But the minute you show up and open up your mouth and say something, that's when doors will open. It's because God has given you authority over what it is that they are going through. And so embrace it. It takes a while. And like I said, don't be distracted by what the enemy throws on you. Don't be distracted by what the devil does to you. Do you understand? Because I noticed that there's circumstances and scenarios that the enemy will send to almost cheapen your value and to make you feel like, you're not worthy of love. You're not worthy. Your voice doesn't matter, but it does. And so I'm saying, like, for me, I've gone back in the fight back mode where I'm like, no, you're not going to come up in my life and mess with me and try to diminish what God has and is doing in my life. So I'm saying to those who are struggling with their voice, listen, embrace it, because you might not like the sound of your voice, but someone out there, literally your voice is the very core, it's the very foundation of their survival. Imagine that. Like, just by hearing your voice, somebody will survive tonight. By hearing your voice, someone will survive for the next 6-7 months. They will come out of the depression that they've been encountering, the sickness that's had them bound. Because of the sound of your voice, they will be able to rise up and say that if Minister Dahna-Esther can do it, if she can come out, if God can bring her out of such a debilitating situation, a situation where everyone would say, nah, it's done, you're over, like there's no coming back from that, then I'm telling you, God can do it for you too. So I'm not going to keep ranting on. I just wanted to come on here and just really share my heart about the importance of using your voice and showing up, because someone is relying on you to show up and use your voice. God bless you. Take care.